I begin with a prayer, with a salutation to Swami Vivekananda. Om Namasri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Sure Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Tapaharini. Revered Swamis, people, the devotees who have assembled here, admirers of Vivekananda, and also my young friends, young students. I was reminded of a similar gathering. Of course, it was a huge gathering of all places in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia on the same theme. That was in 2017. And a lot of people, about 3,000 delegates, had come from different countries, different races. But the theme was same. And I was surprised to see most of the youths who spoke. Some of the echoes we heard from the speakers today, but here the speakers had come prepared by readings of Vivekananda's thoughts. So I begin with a very bold statement Swami Vivekananda made 125 years ago. He said this in England. He said, I have a message for the West as Buddha had a message for the East. Imagine speaking those bold words. So that means he came with a conviction of a universal approach, trying to combine the greatest ideals of both West and the East. So in this youth convention, which was held in Saudi Arabia, most of the youths I saw, unlike the speakers of today, were speaking of a book, Clash of Civilizations by Samuel Huntington. Because as one of the speakers so nicely put it, we should not be seeing the wave, we should be seeing the ocean. Waves come and go, but the ocean remains constant. And when you speak of clashes of civilizations, because of diversity, we are speaking of the waves, a big wave gobbling up a smaller wave, and all conflict is a result of looking at the waves rather than looking at the ocean. So that was a very good point one of the delegates made. So we have to contemplate on that. That is exactly what Swami Vivekananda came, just as Buddha came thousands of years before Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda had a message for the West, and he gave a warning. When he visited Europe, he says the whole of Europe is on the top of a volcano, and if it does not give up its materialistic ways, there will be destruction, and we had the two world wars. So Swami Vivekananda always came emphasizing all of us, whatever be the religion or the race or the ethnicity or the country that we belong to look at unity in the midst of diversity, not by destroying diversity. The world will have its diversities, but it's the unity that we should emphasize. That is the message he brought to the West. Of course, in those days, there was this distinction, East and West, but now it's a global village. You no longer have this concept of East and the West. Geographically, maybe we can classify ourselves as Eastern people and Western people, but it's a global village. And Swami Vivekananda 125 years ago emphasized this fact. He was far, far ahead of our times. He knew the youth of the future. He himself was a youth. He died young. He was just 39 years old and 6 months. So he died. He was an inspiration for youth of all nations, all ethnicities, all countries, all religions, because he emphasized something that was eternal. And he spoke of a universal approach to all the problems of life. I'll just mention one important point he made, where he predicted the future civilization. Unlike Samuel Huntington, who said civilizations will always clash. They will clash because of the differences. But Swami Vivekananda dreamt of a world where three major civilizations who have contributed a lot, whether it is Eastern civilization or Western civilization, you have to give credit to these great civilizations. And he summed up the entire history of the world in a few sentences. He says, what the Greeks have given to the entire world, and we cannot deny that, and the fruits of that Greek contribution to the world, we are witnessing now in the form of development of science, technology. The whole contribution of the Greeks was contribution to the scientific approach to life. Of course, it was the material sciences, the material world that they investigated. And he said, you cannot deny the whole world has benefited, and what the world is today is partly because of the contribution of the Greeks, which led to the revolution, scientific revolution and technological revolution in the world. So he says, in 125 years ago, he said that every youth should be grateful to this Greek civilization. Then he comes to the Roman civilization. Side by side in the West, he said, there was another civilization which wanted to control human beings, or rather organize human beings in societies in a democratic way, so that they can live in harmony with each other. Of course, there were these ideas of conquests, because every emperor believed that if there is one emperor, then the world will be a peaceful place, then there's no quarrel. But whatever be their ideas, the ideas of democracy and the parliaments, all systems of politics and administration, Vivekananda traced to these Romans. But unfortunately, cruelty because of their cruelty, they vanished from the face of the earth. So also the Greek civilizations. He had given this warning before the two world wars that excessive materialism, it's like sitting on the top of a volcano. It will burst any day and it will destroy everything. So it has to be toned down by a third contribution which India has made. The contribution to the world from the Eastern civilization, which is represented by India, is spirituality, which teaches us to see see the ocean, not the wave. So in the midst of diversity, it is only the spirit, the quest for the spiritual values that can save civilization. And he said it boldly, just as Buddha had a message to the East. He says, I have a message for the West. You better listen to me, otherwise you are sitting on the top of a volcano. And said it boldly. He said it in the heart of London. So you see, he said the contributions of the other two cultures, civilizations, you cannot ignore. They have impacted and they will continue to impact. You cannot imagine a life without science and technology, without some sort of government, politics, administration. These will be there. It will guide nations as it has been guiding nations for centuries, civilizations for centuries. But we have to add our contribution, that is the contribution of Indian civilization, the Eastern civilization, which said in spite of all the development progress that you see in the world, it is the spirit, holding on to the spirit and spirit alone. Spirit means consciousness. That is the greatest discovery Indian spiritual scientists or spiritual emperors made, and that includes Buddha and all the rishis. So they said, unless you hold on to this unifying principle of consciousness which permeates all, the God that you see in every human being, in every animal, every tree, everything that is living or non-living, the spirit that alone can unify. Otherwise, like Huntington, we'll see the clashes. And clashes will never end. So there cannot be a material solution to our worldly problems. That's why he gave a definition of what constitutes civilizational progress. He said, civilization or civilizational progress is a progressive reading of consciousness or spirit into matter. Matter is necessary for our survival. We need science, we need technology, we need politics, we need administration. We have to live in this world, but let it be guided by consciousness or the pure spirit, which is the key idea behind every religion, not just Hindu religion, but Buddhism, Christianity. Even Jesus said, the kingdom of God is the kingdom of the spirit, not the kingdom that we see around us. And he was crucified for saying that. He said, I am the emperor of the spiritual world. He didn't say anything wrong, but he was crucified because the emperors of the material world did not understand him. The Roman emperors thought that he should be crucified, but he was just saying what Indians and what the East has been saying for centuries. If spirit controls matter, then the civilization will progress. So civilizational progress is the progressive reading of spirit, more and more spirit into matter. The more you do it, the more better it is for all of us. So this fundamental idea, which is the theme of today's seminar, today's event, that is the core idea which Swami Vivekananda saw manifested in his master Sri Ramakrishna, and he proclaimed it to the entire world that spirit alone, like all the prophets before him, all the great spiritual giants before him, again and again, they said that if you have to survive, then you have to hold on to the spirit, give it precedence over matter. Let matter be there, but let it be controlled by the spirit, not the other way around. If matter or materialism controls the spirit, then there will be destruction. That is what you see all around. So this is the fundamental message. I'm very happy the youths who have come here, they have especially the idea where he hit one of the speakers. He said the core is to see the ocean, not the wave. That is exactly what Swami Vivekananda said. See the ocean, see the broad underlying unity, where everything is peaceful, everything is calm. But if you look at the oceans, then there will be clash. One big wave will kill or destroy the smaller waves. It looks turbulent on the surface. But if you meditate, go deep within and try to find out the connecting unity which will not emphasize the diversity that we see, that leads to quarrel, that leads to jealousy, that leads to conflict, leads to competition. The world, he said, will be a better place if we try to see the spirit within. If more and more people try to see the spirit within, then that alone can provide a good solution. So I'm very happy we are still our youth. When I said this in Saudi Arabia, most of the people had not even known who Swami Vivekananda was. But I had to speak the truth. So that was not the right place, because people were all talking of clashes. Why we are clashing with each other? Why there are clashes in the Middle East? Why there are clashes? I said, because we have not addressed the fundamental idea of all great people who have come to save civilization. If we want civilizational progress, we have to listen to Vivekananda. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed that youth convention. At the outset, I did say that we would be having some bright minds join our stage, and I think you'll all agree that they lived up to that expectation. So thank you all once again for talking about your own inspiration from Vivekananda's message, a message that focuses around having faith in oneself, building strong character, and having that inner power. So thank you once again for being here, and thank you for being part of this ongoing journey. And through you, we'd like to continue the torch of wisdom that Vivekananda lit for the world. So if I could invite Swamiji to please present our guest youth speakers with a token of our appreciation. So if I call upon, first of all, if we can have Rishi and Om. Shuchishmita. Vishal. Reina. Asmita. And last but not least, Shorita. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm aware that some of you are standing. I've just been informed that the upper balcony has been opened and there are many seats available there. And in fact, if you, it's probably a better view over there as well. So if you want to take some seats, there are some available upstairs.